Hi there, everyone. Welcome back to the deep dive. You know how sometimes you hit one of those quiet moments, and it just kind of lands on you. How much time is well slipped by? I had this happen just the other day, actually. A real flash of guilt because I realized it was my little sister's birthday, and I'd completely forgotten until way later in the day. Makes you think, how does that even happen, right? It's not like I don't care, not at all. It's just life gets so busy so fast, and those connections, the ones you always thought were just solid, permanent, they can start to feel a bit, I don't know, stretched thin. I think this is something we all go through, really, even if we don't always want to admit it out loud. Like when you're younger, your family, your friends, they're just there. It's a given. You don't really think about it. But then one day you sort of wake up and realize, wow, I haven't really talked to this person in weeks or months, maybe even years sometimes. So our mission for this deep dive today is to really unpack that. Why do these gaps form between us? And maybe more importantly, how can we navigate them in a way that feels, well, meaningful?
It's interesting you start there. Your story is actually a perfect example of something researchers sometimes call relational entropy.
Relational entropy.
Yeah, it's basically this natural tendency for connections, for relationships to sort of drift apart over time if you're not actively, putting energy into maintaining them.
Hmm.
And it's not necessarily about someone messing up or failing. It's more like a fundamental dynamic in how human relationships work, something we often don't notice until we have that aha
No.
moment, like you did, realizing, wow, it's been that long.
Right. And then boom, straight after the aha comes the guilt, that awful knot in your stomach,
Mm-hmm.
feeling like you're just not being the friend you should be or the sibling or, the person you imagine you should be. You start asking all these questions like, am I just too busy for this? Or the really bad one, am I turning into one of those people who only shows up when it's easy or convenient? It feels heavy.
Oh, absolutely. That guilt, it's incredibly common and it's powerful. And it really brings up a key question. Why do we internalize that feeling so much, like personal failure?
Yeah, exactly. Why do we?
Well, based on what we've looked at, it seems to be a mix of things. There are these societal expectations, right? This unwritten rule that important bonds should just last effortlessly.
Right. Like they're supposed to be maintenance free.
Exactly. And then we also have our own internal ideas, these sort of implicit relational contracts, beliefs about how we personally are supposed to show up in our relationships.
Okay.
So when a gap appears, it kind of clashes with both those things, the societal script and our personal one. And that clash makes us feel like we've, broken some kind of contract or fallen short of this ideal, hence the guilt.
Wow. Okay. So reframing it that way. It's not just me being a bad friend. It's a clash with these bigger ideas. That actually helps a bit. But okay, if it's not always a conscious choice, if life genuinely does get in the way, jobs, moving, new partners, kids, or just being plain exhausted trying to keep up with everyone.
Which happens all the time.
Right. So what does that actually mean for the relationships themselves? Do these like external pressures make these gaps almost inevitable sometimes?
I think that's a fair way to put it. Yeah. If you connect this to the bigger picture, it's not just about consciously deciding not to stay in touch. It's also about these very real structural things that shape our social lives. There's this concept, social convoy theory.
Social convoy, like traveling together.
Sort of, yeah. Imagine your life is a journey, right? And your relationships, your friends, your family, they're the people in your convoy traveling with you. But as you go through different stages, you change careers, maybe you start a family, you pick up new hobbies, you move.
Life happens.
Life happens. And some people naturally shift. Maybe they move to the outer edges of your convoy, or maybe they even exit it for a while or permanently, and new people join. So a friendship that was super close when you shared, say, an office or a class every day, it might naturally feel more distant when those shared contexts are gone. You don't have the same daily stuff, the same passions, maybe.
Or even just being in the same city.
Exactly. Geographic distance is huge. It's like a natural, sometimes unconscious reprioritizing of your resources, your time, your emotional energy. It has to go somewhere.
That makes sense, logically. But it still feels, well, it can feel pretty crummy when it's happening. That feeling of like missing out on their life or watching a bond just sort of fade.
Oh, for sure. It's an emotional process.
And like we said, that guilt, it just keeps you stuck looking back, doesn't it? Instead of thinking about, okay, what now? How do we shift away from that regret towards something, I don't know, more constructive?
Yeah, moving past the guilt is crucial. And this is where, understanding these dynamics can actually help your emotional well-being. It's about being a bit gentler with ourselves.
Gentler how?
Well, instead of getting stuck in the I should have done this or I shouldn't have let that happen, the idea is to shift focus to, okay, what now?
Yeah.
Acknowledge the feeling, if you miss someone, that feeling isn't necessarily bad.
Right.
It's actually a reminder that the bond was important, it mattered, it was part of your story. But the key is seeing that feeling, that acknowledgement of the gap, as the first step towards doing something about it if you want to, not as a reason to just feel paralyzed by guilt.
So the missing feeling isn't proof of failure, it's proof of past value.
Exactly. It's a sign of significance, not inadequacy.
Mhm.
And reframing it that way can be really empowering.
That is, yeah, that's a really helpful way to think about it. Okay, so if we manage that shift, if we're ready to maybe move forward, what does that look like practically? How do we start, taking stock of the people who used to be really important? Is there some way to figure out, like, when is it worth putting in the effort to rekindle something? And when is it maybe time to perhaps just accept the distance? How do you tell the difference without feeling even more guilt?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, critical thinking is so important here, just like in other areas of life. There's no single easy answer. What the research and sources suggest is a more nuanced approach. It's not black and white.
Yep.
When thinking about rekindling, a big factor is assessing the mutual desire. Is there a sense that the other person might also be open to reconnecting?
Right, it can't be one-sided.
Exactly. Think about what researchers call relational maintenance behaviors, the little things people do to keep relationships going, sharing stuff, checking in, offering support, just showing you care. If you feel genuinely willing to start doing those things again, and you get a sense, even a small one, that the other person might respond positively, then yes, absolutely, a bond can often be rekindled, even after a long time. The key is that it feels authentic, not forced. You're not trying to just replay the past.
Authentic reentry. I like that. So it's not about some big dramatic gesture then.
Probably not, no. In fact, that can sometimes backfire, put too much pressure on things.
So what does it look like if you want to try? And then the flip side, how do you gently let go of connections that maybe have run their course without feeling like you're just giving up or being callous?
Okay, so for rekindling, think small. Think low stakes bids for connection.
Low stakes bids.
Yeah. Don't aim for an immediate, intense 3-hour catch-up coffee. Start smaller. Maybe a text message sharing an article you thought they'd like, or a quick note about a shared memory that popped up. Hey, saw this, made me think of you.
Simple.
Hmm.
No pressure.
Exactly. Keep it light, no heavy expectations attached. It gives both of you space to kind of gauge the temperature, see if there's interest, rebuild a little comfort. You're essentially building a new bridge, one little plank at a time, not trying to leap across the whole gap at once.
Okay, that makes sense. Building a new bridge.
And for the letting go part,
Yeah.
the core idea there is really about acceptance of mutual drift.
Mutual drift.
Yeah, acknowledging that not every single connection we make is meant to last forever, at least not in its original intense form.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's about appreciating the really valuable role someone played during a certain time, a certain season of your life,
Mm-hmm.
and allowing that chapter to close with respect, maybe even gratitude, but without forcing it to continue if it doesn't fit anymore. It's a kind of reframing. The relationship was meaningful, deeply meaningful perhaps, even if its most active phase is over. That doesn't take away from its past importance. It just honors how lives, evolve.
Wow. That's actually incredibly insightful. So the real key isn't just accepting the gaps happen, but understanding why and then being intentional. Intentional about whether you try to rebuild that bridge with those small, authentic steps, or whether you intentionally choose to accept the evolution, the drift, with grace.
Precisely. It moves from passive regret to active, thoughtful engagement with your relationships, past and present.
It really brings it home that, yeah, time passes, things change, but we still have agency. We can decide how we want to honor those connections, the people who mattered, either by reaching out authentically or by letting go respectfully. So, wrapping this up, we've taken a pretty deep dive today, and I think the big takeaway for me is understanding that these shifts in relationships, they're often really natural, driven by things like that relational entropy you mentioned or the social convoy idea. It's not always just a personal failing.
Right. Understanding the dynamics can lessen the blame we put on ourselves or others.
But at the same time, that desire we feel to connect, or maybe reconnect, with people who are important to us, that's real too.
Yeah.
It's powerful. And there are things we can actually do about it.
Absolutely. And there's always more to learn, isn't there, about ourselves, about relationships. Thinking about these concepts like entropy or the convoy, it just gives you a different lens. It allows for maybe a more compassionate, more authentic way to handle these gaps when they appear.
Compassionate and authentic.
Whether you end up rekindling something or deciding to respectfully let it be, it kind of empowers you to be more intentional, I think, about your social world.
Definitely. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Reflecting on all this, how do you navigate this? How do you stay in touch with the people you really care about? Or if you face these gaps, which, let's be honest, most of us have, how have you handled them? Especially now, thinking about some of these underlying dynamics we've talked about today. What feels right for you?
Open your eyes, please open your mind. 3, 5, 10. I got a pot on the stove where I heat up my oils. Then I melt in my butter, mixing the lye with the water. Trying to design a product that's gonna take our dreams a little farther. Plus it's organic and natural, something good for your body. You want something exotic, I got honey and oats. Listen, shawty, I'm a clean dude, I produce the cleanest of soaps. I've been clean since the womb, you see how my mama's skin glow. I just wanna produce a product that make you feel like I flow. Silky smooth and unique, from the spirit of me. Something that stimulate your senses and make you smell like this beat. And if you purchase from me, satisfaction's guaranteed. And if not, your money back, for sure there won't be a need. This is a product of passion, mixed in with some hope. I sprinkle in a little love, turn it into some soap. You either like it or don't, but once you smell it, you know. It feels good to leave a piece of me with you as I go. I got organic shea butter, bless the skin of my sisters. Loyalty for my brothers, yeah, we struggle together. Selling organic black soap until we find something better. Quote me when I say I don't think you will find none better. I got organic shea butter, bless the skin of my sisters. Loyalty for my brothers, yeah, we struggle together. Selling organic black soap until we find something better. Quote me when I say I don't think you will find none better. I package it up, addressing it up. I'm sending it out directly to your house. I text you the route and number, you need to follow that route. Please call me if you need some more and start experience a drought. See, once we meet, then we're good. We'll be friends forever. And the goods that I say, you could use them in any weather. Consider me your therapist, specialized in aromatherapy, but all the purest oil essentials. Check out my melody, I just want you to relax. Even it means that I struggle. I know I got brothers who will help me with muscle, so the struggle was easy. It's your spirit that's trouble. I hope this song relieves your pain like scented lavender oil. Or maybe the rosemary mixed with the body butter. Lord, I swear to God, I butter you down till you spoil it. And serving you is my purpose, and without my client, I'm worthless. So I design quality products for you because you deserve it. I got organic shea butter, bless the skin of my sisters. Loyalty for my brothers, yeah, we struggle together. Selling organic black soap until we find something better. Quote me when I say I don't think you will find none better. I got organic shea butter, bless the skin of my sisters. Loyalty for my brothers, yeah, we struggle together. Selling organic black soap until we find something better. Quote me when I say I don't think you will find none better.